Hello everyone. Today I am going to discuss about 11th standard biology first chapter, that is the living world. The topic which is the content of this video is about characteristics of living beings and introduction to taxonomy. Let's move further. As an introduction, we know that biology is the branch of science which deals with the study of life and living beings. Living things are the material which have the following characteristics which help them to be called as living. They show growth and development which is irreversible. The growth can be at cellular level or at tissue level, or the development of whole organs and organ systems or of the organism. Next is they show increment in the protoplasmic content of their body. They must have a proper cellular arrangement and or arrangement of tissues in form of organs and organ systems in higher organisms. The most essential component of living beings characteristics is that they uptake nutrition. Nutrition helps them gain energy and also gain various other chemicals which help in growth and development of their body. Let's move further. These all processes of growth and development by the uptake of nutrition leads to various biochemical processes inside the body of organisms. These biochemical processes together known as metabolism. Metabolism is basically of two types: a constructive metabolism, which is known as anabolism or anabolic process, just as photosynthesis, or a destructive metabolism, which is known as catabolism. Example: respiration. Living things are sensitive to the external stimulus. They have a proper control and coordination system in their body or within their cellular structure which help them respond to the environment. Living things have definite shape and size which easily help us to distinguish them from the non-living things. They also have the ability to show movements, and some organisms have the ability to even show locomotion, that is, total change of position from one place to another. By the help of process of respiration, which is a catabolic process, the organism's body gains nutrition by the breakdown of carbohydrates, fats, proteins, etc. to generate energy. This process is known as respiration. The most essential characteristic of living being is to help in continuation of its generation. For this process, the process of reproduction is found in living beings. The living beings perform reproduction in two different characteristic ways, that is, asexual mode of reproduction involving only one parent, or sexual mode of reproduction which involves two parents. As we all know that after the biochemical activities or the metabolic activities inside the cell or inside the organism's body takes place, some waste products or byproducts are generated. These are removed or eliminated from the body of organisms by the process of excretion, making it an important characteristic of living organisms. Adaptation is another important characteristic of living things, that is, its ability to develop and work and grow according to the environment in which it is surviving. Just as, for example, fishes are adapted to live in water, reptiles to live on land, and birds are adapted to fly. Living things have a definite life cycle of certain time period. This life cycle is divided into four phases generally, which are juvenile phase, reproductive phase, senescence phase, and death phase. Death is the ultimate fate of living organisms when all the cellular activities come to an end, because the rate of catabolic reactions increase and the rate, that is the speed of anabolic reactions, decrease, as a result of which the living organism's body comes to rest, and that rest is known as death. There are some similarities as well between living and non-living things. That is, both living and non-living are made up of atoms of different elements. Both the groups have atoms combined in form of molecules. These molecules of the body react with various factors just as molecules of non-living things. Also, non-living and living things obey the action-reaction law of motion and also respond to the gravitational force just as non-living things. Let's move further. As we all know, there are living things present on this earth since long time. Hence, in due course of this time, there has been lot of changes in the structural and functional organization or the body organization and habitat, nutrition and adaptation of organisms, which leads to different morphology, color, anatomy and physiological behaviors of different organisms. These different organisms constitute the biodiversity on this earth. Bio means life, diversity means various forms. Thus we can say that there are various forms of life possible on this earth. There are 10 million kinds of plants and animals on this earth, 30,000 species of protozoa, 9,000 species of cnidaria, 65,000 species of chordata, and etc., which comprises the biodiversity. Hence, it becomes very difficult to study each of these organisms in respect of their anatomical, physiological, morphological, and adaptational behaviors. Therefore, a most important characteristic of this living things and biodiversity is their classification. Classification helps us to arrange the organisms on the basis of their similarities and differences in different groups, which makes their study simpler. Some important terminologies which are related to classification of organisms are as follows. First is phylogeny. As I already stated that the organisms on this earth are there from quite a long period of time, which is in millions. Thus, there has been a due course of gradual changes within the body of the organisms. That is a transition from unicellular to multicellular, then from prokaryotic to eukaryotic, and then there are differences in their habitat, in their nutritional uptake and behavior of reproduction. Thus, these all things can be interrelated with each other by tracing the course of their evolution. Thus, phylogeny means tribe or the race or the organism's ancestry, and geny means from where it was produced. Thus, tracing the evolutionary history of an organism becomes the study matter of phylogeny. Next term is taxonomy. Taxa means arrangement, norma means law. So there are some set of laws which help in governing and classifying the organisms and making their study simpler. Thus, taxonomy deals with the identification, nomenclature and classification of organisms in different groups on the basis of their resemblances, that is similarities, and differences in their various characteristics. This makes up the most important elements of taxonomy. The most important elements of taxonomy are identification, that is to find out from where the organism came, what is its general characteristics, and with whose characteristics does its all the behavior characteristic match. Next is the task of giving a proper name to the organism, that is known as nomenclature. The last and the ultimate part of this taxonomy is classification, that is placing it in a group which is relevant to its characteristics and behavior. Thus, the object of taxonomy is to arrange the organism in different groups which are known as taxa and giving us the idea about the phylogenetic relationships among them. The third important terminology which comes into account for classification is systematics. It is broadly understood as the study of diversity of organisms in comparative and evolutionary relationships. Thus, systematics is of following types. First is the classical systematics, which just comprises of only the morphological characters into consideration for classifying organisms. Next is cytotaxonomy. This includes study of chromosome number, type of nucleus, shape and size of chromosome, mitotic and meiotic behavior of chromosomes taken into account for differentiating between the cellular structures of organisms while classifying them. Next is chemotaxonomy. This includes the various biochemical processes and applications of such processes in different organisms which produce various chemicals as a result of their metabolic activities as products and byproducts. The similarity of such products and differences of such products lead to classifying them into different groups, just as Apocynaceae and Asclepiadaceae, two families of plants, have a presence of milky latex, a white color fluid oozing out of their cells when their flowers or leaves or any of the twig is broken. This characterizes them to be placed in a same family or a same group. Next is numerical taxonomy. This comprises of the numerical principles or techniques of numerical taxonomy. This includes taxometrics, taxometrices, phonetics, and mathematical taxonomy. Thus, the utility of taxonomy or systematics is it provides identity to fossils, it provides identity to complementary branches of biology in relevance, and it becomes a information basis for the various disciplines of biology like agriculture, medical sciences, and veterinary sciences. Other important terminologies are identification. It means finding out about the general characteristics of an organism. Other than that, it is keys. Keys are some selecting points which are taken into consideration while grouping the organism in a particular class. If there is similarity of characters, then that key is considered, and if it is different, then that key is omitted or is divided into further keys which help in positioning it at the accurate place, positioning an organism at an accurate classification point. Thus, the classification of organism is done on the basis of following categories. The highest level of classification is kingdom, then comes division or phylum, then class, then order, then family, then genus, and the last one is taxon. Each of these last is species. Each of these classification categories are known as taxon. Species is the basic unit or the smallest unit of classification. That's all as the content of this video. We will be discussing about each of this in detail in the coming sections or the parts of the chapter in further videos, and also we need to know more about how and what are the experimental methods conducted for doing the process or the methods of taxonomy. That's all. Here are some questions which the students need to answer and report as soon as possible. First is, what is metabolism? Why is it important? Next is, what are the important processes, characteristics of life? Define phylogeny and evolution. What are the essential elements of taxonomy? What is systematics? Describe its types. That's all. Thank you.